Dear fellow planet advocates, I am Florence Blondell. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are. I come to you live from North Carolina in Charlotte. Welcome to the Day of the Planet campaign launch webcast. You are live. We are streaming on YouTube and Facebook, so make sure to tell us where you're watching from in the comments. We start off by viewing our campaign video, after which I will introduce our presidential candidate. He'll give a speech, so pay attention because next you'll have an opportunity to ask questions and make short comments. All right, without further ado, let us get into our fantastic campaign video. Over to you, Kelsey, our awesome producer. Take us away, please.
It's morning in America. Today, 10,000 new births will join the 340 million people powering the world's largest economy, an economy that has doubled over the last 20 years. Today, we'll order 416,000 Big Gulps and flip 137 million burgers. 120 million of us will hit the road today, many in luxurious SUVs. We'll be in constant communication on $1,000 smartphones and extra-large, extra-foam latte not more than a block away. Today in our country, we'll unload 750 cargo containers at our ports, pave over 3,500 acres of wildlife habitat, and break ground on more than 2,500 new homes. Nearly 3 million of us will hop on a plane, heading to a sales call, a conference, a concert, or a sporting event. We'll burn more than 369 million gallons of gasoline and emit 15 million tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. This week, some 35 species will go extinct. Many of us will put in more than an 8-hour day at work. We'll manage $1 trillion of credit card debt. A few will die today in mass shootings. 8,000 will attempt suicide, and 200,000 will sleep tonight on the streets. A few thousand are busy developing the technology to mine asteroids and start a settlement on Mars.
Wait a minute. If Mars is looking good to us, we must really be screwing up Earth. Hi, I'm Dave Gardner. I'm running for president to tell the full truth. It's actually closer to midnight in America. A bright future is possible, but we have work to do. The current system is failing us.
Some big numbers coming out of the housing market today, and they're not looking pretty if you're looking to buy or rent.
The world's hottest day on record.
1 million species overall are at risk of extinction.
Nearly half of the nation's drinking water contains potentially harmful, forever chemicals.
Current policies are taking the world to a 2.8-degree temperature rise by the end of the century. That spells catastrophe, yet the collective response remains pitiful.
The system is failing us because we're in ecological overshoot. Humankind has not just dominated, but overrun the place. We've outgrown the planet. The evidence? Climate disruption, massive species extinction, drying rivers, lakes, and aquifers, toxic air, land, and water, increasing scarcity of fertile soils and finite resources. Our only hope for that bright future is to treat overshoot as a critical emergency and jettison that grow-at-all-costs paradigm now. When I'm elected, we'll stop making dead planet decisions. We'll make the dramatic course correction we need to respect nature and all life on this planet, to live within planetary boundaries and limits to growth. On day one, my administration will declare a national emergency and mobilize citizens, business, and government in a national project to end overshoot. We'll all come together to restore hope for a bright future. The only way out of overshoot today is to shrink the scale of our economy and population. We'll no longer pursue economic growth. We'll reimagine and reorganize our economy. A healthy 21st century economy won't be grow at all costs, winner take all. It will be a well-being economy, focused on meeting our needs and providing good lives, without eliminating the chance for future generations to live decent lives. We'll work less, play more, and curb our overconsumption. We don't need growing GDP to ensure everyone has a job, food on the table, and a roof over their head. We'll all work together to make that happen. We'll welcome the trend toward choosing smaller families. My administration will support and encourage well-considered, informed family-size decisions. Both temporary and permanent contraception will be accessible to all and free. Until now, our obsession with economic growth has kept us from reducing carbon emissions. We'll change that when I'm president. No new fossil fuel projects. A hefty carbon tax will help us all think twice about burning and especially wasting gas. That tax revenue will support carbon-free transportation with low energy requirements. Unfortunately, we can't generate enough renewable energy to replace all of the fossil fuel power running our overshoot economy. So we'll go on an energy diet. We'll make it easier and less expensive for our citizens to walk, ride their bike, and take public transportation. I'll implement financial disincentives to make it very unattractive to waste energy or consume frivolously. Taxes on the expensive habits of billionaires and millionaires who don't change their ways will fund the programs we need to support active transportation, family planning, energy-efficient buildings, and basic needs. This is a huge, fundamental shift in how we do things. It may sound scary, but soon we'll all be discovering the joy of ending our enslavement to the rat race of growth. This can be the dawn of a new day in America. Let's do this. I'm Dave Gardner. I'm running for president, and I approve this message.
And stamped. An approved message, and we've stamped it. That was incredibly moving. Our economy worships growth at the expense of the planet and our quality of life. So go vote for this man right now. You can watch the video on the Day of the Planet 2024 YouTube channel, and I encourage you to share it extensively. A few house rules. You're on mute, but you still have the opportunity to submit your questions by typing them in a comment on YouTube and on Facebook. And that's in addition to the Q&A function within the webinar. Please keep your questions concise and feel free to include brief comments as well. Dave will make an effort to answer as many as possible during the allocated time. And then unanswered questions will be posted on the website, devtheplanet2024.com. All right, now let's meet our candidate. But first, a sad fact. According to the Global Footprint Network, about 72% of the world's population live in areas that are with ecological deficit. And this cannot go on forever. So it's a privilege to introduce a leader who is on a mission of utmost importance, a leader who is ready to see that ecological overshoot is stopped. I'll let him elaborate on what that entails, but he fully recognizes that it poses a profound threat to our very existence. This presidential candidate has a deep-rooted passion for sustainability and a profound understanding of interconnectedness of our global challenges. He is committed to implementing policies and initiatives that will reduce our environmental footprint by shrinking the economy and our population, of course, through ethical means. Under his leadership, he will ensure that our children can live decent lives with clean, healthy air and water, no poverty, and an abundance of joy and fulfillment. All this truly sets him apart from the rest. His dedication to save our planet is unwavering, and he will make ecological overshoot a thing of the past. So, as we warmly welcome this presidential candidate today, let us also welcome a brighter future for people and planet. Planet and people lovers, please join me in welcoming Dave Gardner, a filmmaker, podcaster, columnist, former corporate propagandist, former director of World Population Balance, founder of Growth Busters, you should watch the movie by the way, and now a candidate for the U.S. presidency in 2024. Welcome, Dave.
Can you hear her? I might need your earbud. Sorry, I'm not able to hear anything right now, but my wife Ruth is going to rescue me.
Yeah,
Hopefully I can hear you now.
take error.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes, we hear you
Okay,
perfectly.
good.
Take
Had
us
a little
away.
bit of technical difficulties there. Shoot. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Florence, for the introducing us and being here. And real quickly, I want to just introduce everybody to my wife, Ruth. Ruth, can you pop in? There she is. I really want to thank Ruth for giving up some privacy and giving up a lot of me in order for us to Dave the Planet. So thank you. And I want to thank you viewers for your interest in this and being here today. And especially I want to thank Florence. You know, Florence is pretty special. He's got a master's degree in relation from the London School of Economics and Political Science. She's an award-winning journalist and digital storyteller with a real passion for the environment and the rights of women and girls. She's on the staff of Population Matters, which is a UK-based charity seeking a sustainable human population through choice-based means to improve people's lives and protect the planet, even though she's living here in the United States, and I really respect that organization. She's a member of Population Media Center's Program Advisory Board, and she's even impressively spoken at the United Nations, so I'm really honored to have you on the team, Florence. We're going to be joined a little later by Lindsay Facknitz, a singer-songwriter. Lindsay, I hope you're, or I don't see her yet, but she'll be joining us later, so we'll have a little bit of music. And also, I'm really glad to welcome some folks at a house party in a downtown cafe.
Woo.
Hey!
There's Richard. Hi.
Hi. Why are you guys here?
We are happy to be here, Dave, to support you. We're a local group here in Colorado Springs that are trying to navigate folks into a more sustainable future by offering some great things that you also are saying, Dave. So we're here to support you on those things. You want to say anything, Becky?
Oh, sure. And yeah, Dave, we're here to support you and your platform. I've been a lifelong gardener, and not a Dave Gardner, but a gardener, and a lifelong activist, and I have supported you all along since I first met you. So this is so exciting, and I'm not scared anymore. You say it's a scary situation. I'm not scared anymore. We've got you on our side.
Well, I'm glad you're here because the program that we're going to embark on is going to really depend on citizens at the local level organizing and getting together to figure out, to help us navigate the new 21st century economy that's completely different than what we've lived in the past. So thanks for being here.
Of course.
We have pizza.
I'm here for your children, your grandchildren, all the children of the world, and all life on Earth. So let me explain. I'm pretty sure no one has ever been elected president on a promise of shrinking the economy. Every candidate has to promise robust economic growth to even be in the game. And I'm crazy enough to promise that if elected, I will lead this nation down a path of economic and population contraction to a very bright future. Well, how can that be a bright future, you might ask? Robust economic growth is the Holy Grail. It's the one goal politicians and policymakers can agree on the world over. Everyone assumes it's a good thing, and everyone assumes it can just keep on going in perpetuity. It's what we call an unexamined assumption. Now, a growing number of us around the world, including some very smart scientists and even a few economists, have been doing the needed examination of those assumptions, and we've reached an important conclusion. Continued growth of the global economy and population will leave our children a dead planet. There is no doubt. The mounting evidence is hard to miss. It's time someone stood up and declared that the emperor has no clothes. A week doesn't go by that we don't see news headlines or another peer-reviewed scientific report telling us this. But they get brushed aside. Now, good people are working on all those problems individually, but progress eludes us. Small gains end up being overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the human enterprise. Today's global economy is over $100 trillion, powered by 8 billion people. And we're adding close to 80 million to that population every year. That's like adding another Germany to the planet. And we're insisting on growing that overshoot economy in perpetuity. Scientists estimate that in 1972, when world population was 3 billion, driving a $3 trillion economy, we crossed a threshold from living within the planet's means to exceeding it. So you can just imagine the kind of damage we're doing with a population almost 3 times that size, powering an economy over 30 times the size. This is called ecological overshoot. Overshoot means there are too many people consuming and polluting too much. We're using the living Earth faster than ecosystems can regenerate. Thousands of scientists have gotten together and issued several warnings about the consequences of this. It's no wonder biologists can't arrest mass extinction. No wonder agricultural scientists can't feed the world without disrupting the climate, creating ocean dead zones, and pumping rivers, lakes, and aquifers dry. And no wonder IPCC efforts couldn't keep carbon dioxide levels under 350 or even 400 parts per million. We're not solving these existential crises because we don't see them as a real emergency. We treat them with half measures. We won't attempt any solution that threatens economic growth. And if the direct, immediate financial costs of a solution are perceived as high, we reject that solution, while we ignore the externalized and long-term costs of inaction. Now, our kids have one hope, and that is for us to stop rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic and turn the ship. We've got to scale back. We'll have a choice at the ballot in November 2024. But interestingly, one choice we don't have is whether our economy and population contract. They are going to contract. It's just a question of whether that will happen by design or by disaster. If we don't start on that path voluntarily, Mother Nature will put us on that path forcibly and brutally. Now, being forced down that path, kicking and screaming, and not planning, will leave our kids, at best, a Mad Max world. And Mother Nature's already begun the correction. That's why the system is falling apart and failing us in so many ways. A year ago, it was beginning to look like the 2024 election was going to be a Biden-Trump rematch. And talk was that many voters were not happy with that choice. Well, that started me thinking. I've never had my sights set on the White House, but I have for years been wishing the policymakers in D.C. had a better grasp on reality, that we humans have outgrown our planet, that we simply cannot keep growing the global or national economy and population. Now, many are not yet taking my candidacy seriously. I'll admit the odds of my being elected are very long. But because those odds are so long, I'm not even tempted to temper my position or soften my message to appeal to a certain voting bloc or donor class. I'm free to tell you the full truth. It's really empowering. In our early campaign planning, I felt our goal should just be to change the conversation, to alert and educate policymakers, journalists, and the public about the overshoot emergency. We'd pull some policymakers further into the 21st century thinking, perhaps, and we might apply a little pressure for them to give this more attention. And maybe some elected leaders now or in the future would adopt some policies from our platform. I felt this was the best we could hope for. But as we developed the platform, I came to realize one fundamental truth. A vote for any other presidential candidate is a vote for a dead planet. We just don't have decades for policymakers to come around. We don't have decades for our culture to evolve and slowly mature out of its more phase. We've fiddled for too long. Our kids deserve a bright future, and that's going to require a rapid course correction. So our goal today is not just to educate and inform. Our kids need the country to elect me. Now just imagine, if that happens, it will be the headline of the century. It will turn our nation upside down, and it will put all those business as usual policymakers on notice that the public is ready for real action. Jump into this parade or get out of the way. But Dave, you may be thinking, if you don't win a majority of the vote, you could siphon needed votes from a major party candidate and swing the election in the wrong direction. As we approach November, if polls show that I'm taking more votes away from the gangster candidate or another candidate who will throw our children's future under the bus, I'm good with that. But if polls show that I can't win and I'm taking more votes away from the Democratic candidate, I will drop out of the race and ask my supporters to vote for the Democrat. Now let me be clear. A vote for either major party candidate will still be a vote for a dead planet. It's just that the Democrat will lead us into that Mad Max world a little more slowly and with a lot more integrity. But let's stun them all and elect the bright future candidate. You might have noticed there's a high degree of dissatisfaction in the world today. People have a lot to gripe about. And that dissatisfaction has made many voters seek an outsider, someone who will disrupt the system. Just such an outsider was elected president in 2016. He didn't turn out to be the outsider we needed. How about we try an outsider with some integrity, with a moral compass? Someone who genuinely has our kids' best interest at heart. I'm not going to burn everything down, but I am going to turn our government and our nation upside down. If I'm elected, that will tell the world that the people of this nation want to do the right thing for our kids. On day one of my presidency, I'll declare a national emergency. The country and the world are in ecological overshoot, and I'll launch a national project to get the U.S. out of overshoot, and in so doing, lead the world in that direction. You know, when our nation entered World War II, everyone got behind the war effort and did whatever it took. We rationed food and fuel. We retooled our factories overnight. Women went to work riveting airplanes. We planted victory gardens to grow our own food. We did things we would never do if it wasn't an emergency. Our National Overshoot Project will be similar. It will be bipartisan because all the politicians will be able to see which way the wind is blowing. That's a strong wind if it gets an unknown political newcomer into the White House. In 1992, President George Bush Sr. announced the American way of life is not up for negotiation. Well, it is now. The American dream got hijacked some time ago. It's become all about more. We came to expect to make more money this year than last, to own more toys, to move up to a bigger house, and to expect our children will be materially better off than we are. Now, at one time in our history, that was possible. But today, on a full planet, we can no longer expect that. We need to reclaim and redefine the American dream. We must get back in touch with what really matters in life, and it's not material wealth and possessions. Less will be the new more. Less shopping, less waste, less pollution and emissions. Annie Leonard, famous for producing the short documentary The Story of Stuff, recommends, we must stop thinking of ourselves primarily as consumers and start thinking and acting like citizens.
Hello, technology. We've lost Deb there for a second, but that's what you get when people say we have to rely on technology, you know, and they don't think that it also has its cons. Of course, it has good pros, but there are cons as well, but it shouldn't be one to be relied on. So as we wait for Deb to get back, I can see people flowing in from all over the country. I see you in Minnesota. I see New York, Manhattan. God, I even see, wow, is that California? I am seeing someone from Uganda. That's my country, by the way, in case you're wondering about the accent. Yes, I see you, Evelyn. And I see the questions are coming in. Wow. Keep them coming. And, you know, you can give us your brief comments on what Dave has said so far. whatever you think is best. Yes, Andrea. Andrea says, I really appreciate the professionalism. The Ghostbusters costumes were entertaining. Oh, yes, that Ghostbusters movie, you should watch it. It's free on YouTube, by the way. So she says this initiative calls for, this more serious tone. Exactly. And that's what we are trying to do. It's very essential. And that's, you take your hat off for anyone who steps to the plate and tells it as it is. That's how it should be. Yes. Oh, yes, Colorado, of course. Same as our candidate, by the way. You're welcome, Sarah. That's amazing. Uh-huh. Who else is making a comment? Yes, Palm, California, we see you. Oh, Sarah Bexel says, go Dev. Yes, go Dev, Dev the planet. Hello, Andrea from New York. Hi, Kip says, hi, everyone. Hey, we see you. Ivan from Rochester. Amazing. Oh, Mike, we see you. Mike is a volunteer, by the way. He says, me too. With many me's. Okay. Yes. Okay, I see you, everyone. But, so far, so great. The comment, the speech, by Dev. The fact is that, as one of the greats, Sir David Attenborough says, the more of us there are, the fewer there is for nature, The more people, the more the planet suffers. So it is a reality, and ignoring it, doesn't take the elephant out of the room. So it's amazing to have such a space to have these conversations, and need a leader who is a global leader, by the way, because this is not just going to benefit the United States of America. This initiative is going to be for the planet, for everyone, in every corner around the world. And we hope to get there. We need America as a leader. Yes, I see all your questions. We shall get to those when Dev comes back. I see those. Yeah. All right. I see Dev is coming back right now. Thanks for the questions, guys. Keep them coming. I see your question, Gary. I've seen your question, Geoff. I see a question. Oh, and we even have questions from Twitter. Wow, amazing. Nina, yes, we got your question. We shall be reading it out later. Who else? Some people are streaming from Facebook, others are streaming from Twitter. That's amazing. Oh, wow. Okay, who else are we missing?
Ruth, were you in Safari?
Oh, yeah. Let's dust it off.
Hi, apologies for the technical difficulties. We lost a computer, and now I'm rejoining you from my wife's phone. So hopefully this will get us by. I know we've lost some time because of that, so let me see if I can't wrap up my remarks and we can get back to the rest of the. In fact, I'm just going to skip ahead and we'll deliver the rest of my stump speech another time. You guys got to see the video, and I think you get the point. So what I would like to do now is thank profusely the amazing all-volunteer campaign team that has gotten us to where we are, helped us get the platform developed, the website up, the video made, and this event. And you guys are all amazing. So thank you so much for doing this. And I wanted to share with you why would these people volunteer their time to do this? And so we asked them to share little videos with us explaining why they're doing this, and they did. And a few other early supporters have also sent us some videos explaining that. And Florence kindly invited, or rather, Florence kindly edited together a little sampler reel of some of those comments. So let's look at that.
I think it's crazy that a guy like Dave Gardner is running for president. I mean, the guy is anti-growth. It just goes against all that we've lived for in this growth at all costs economy. But
Dave Gardner is the only candidate bringing awareness of the strain that our species is placing on Earth's ecosystems.
He will rally for the stuff that can really matter for the planet, for the critters, for you, for your family, and for a worthy future.
The main reason I want to support him is because it gives me a chance to do a little more towards helping solve Earth's overshoot problem.
Dave has a deep appreciation for the links between environment, population, development, and women's rights.
More to the point, most people who work on sustainability and the environment, they follow the issues and understand the problems up to a point. Then things get difficult for them, and I think they get kind of scared. Dave follows these things through to the end.
Dave Gardner gets what no other presidential candidate does. The need to live within the means of what nature can provide without destroying our economy, nor the beautiful, fragile world that we live in.
We need a more holistic approach, one that deals with the economy, one that deals with population growth, one that deals with resource allocation, and the overconsumption that just takes over our lives. We need a candidate who is going to stand up for these.
If you want a livable planet for today's children and future generations.
It's not crazy to vote for Dave. It's crazy to vote for a dead planet. We have to have somebody like Dave in the White House to fix all of this.
Davos.
Dave the planet.
That was great. Thanks for putting that together, Florence. Before we get to Q&A, we have a special musical guest with us today. Lindsay Facknitz is joining us. Lindsay, are you there?
How are you, Dave? Hello. Oop, I'm going to turn my screen down a little bit so you can see the delightful instrument I have in my hand.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Lindsay, I met Lindsay when she chose to be an activated citizen of our community, and she took on the municipally owned electric utility that was still burning coal in the heart of Colorado Springs. She inspired many in our community to speak up, to organize, and persuade the utility board to accelerate the closing of that power plant. Thank you, Lindsay, for that effort. She's also a very talented singer-songwriter, so I've invited her to share with us now one of her more relevant compositions. It's all yours.
Thanks, Dave. I'm very honored to be singing this song, which is all about community action. It's called Call 'Em Up. In these times of trouble, every day feels like a struggle. It's easy to go through your day and wallow in the pain. Need a different call. It's for the big and small. Stand up, walk out of your door. Don't be alone no more. Call 'em up. Call them out, call them together. Take each other by the hand and be part of the change. Call them up, call them out, call them together. Let your voice be loud and true. We're Daving the planet today. Call your family, your friends and neighbors too. Be brave and bold to see the goal. Love shows you what to do. Call businesses and schools, church leaders, media too. Tell them how together now we're changing for the better. Call them up, call them out, call them together. Take each other by the hand and be part of the change. Call them up, call them out, call them together. Let your voice be loud and true. We're daving the planet today. Here's the important one. Leaders must be made to join in our parade. Let them know, get up, let's go. We're marching all the way. Call your mayor and governor, city council, senator. Tell them how together now we're changing for the better. Call them up, call them out, call them together. Take each other by the hand and be part of the change. Call them up, call them out, call them together. Let your voice be loud and true. We're daving the planet today. Let your voice be loud and true. We're daving the planet today. Let your voice be loud and true. We're daving the planet today. Go dave that planet, everybody. You don't have to live in anxiety of climate catastrophe anymore. Just take that action. That's what we're here to do. Thank you so much, Dave. Really appreciate it.
Oh, wow, Lindsay. That was fantastic indeed. You're going to go dave the planet. Thank you so much. What a message.
The soul, to inspire us. Really, we don't have to wallow in anxiety. Sing it out. Motivate and do what feels right in your heart. Really. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lindsay. We need this on iTunes and everywhere.
Yes, much love to this campaign, much love to this cause, much love to you, Dave, and everyone who is supporting the truth and the honesty that Dave is bringing to this climate anxiety, this this call out to all of us as inhabitants of this planet. Really, we can change. We know that we can change, and so this is the call to that change, everyone. Really.
Oh, thank you. Fantastic song. Really, what a powerful message. Wow. That's amazing. And it rhymes. You keep on going, dancing to it. Anyway, thank you again. And what a wonderful speech from Dave. Honestly, it bears no repeating, but in brief, Dave just wants to save us and the planet. The US and the world should be ready for such a leader. So thank you so much. And indeed, less is to be the new more. That is a fact. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We'll get through this. And I see the comments coming in and the questions. There's an interesting one, which always really, gets me excited, but I'll leave it to Deb to answer about racism. But all right, so a few announcements. So here comes the exciting part about digging into your pockets. Well, how deep? It's up to you. So get in your pockets to support the campaign. Chip in at devtheplanet2024.com/donate, and please text that number, devtheplanet, to 888-448-87774. The number is on the screen. Just send a text and donate what you can. Let's get the job started. Let's get on top of this. So while financial support is essential, what we need even more are volunteers. We require a committed team ready to make a positive impact. We are blessed to already have several volunteers who have significantly contributed to Dave's campaign. Remember also to subscribe to our newsletter, and thanks in advance for signing up for periodic updates. Please also check out and follow the new Dave the Planet podcast. Great podcast, great listening. Tell friends and family about it. Tell them about the campaign. And take out your phone right now, or you could be watching on your phone, and follow us on all our social media channels, honestly. Hashtag or at the handle Dave the Planet 2024. Let's grow the community. Let's get Dave elected. Remember to tell news media. I hope some of the people from the news media are here. I was a journalist. I missed that. But, this is an exciting campaign. And I feel like, journalists should be on top of it, So reach out to us for interviews. Dave is going to be available the rest of the day. And please email using this email address, media@davetheplanet2024.com. That is the email address. I hope you've noted it down. All right. So let's now get to your questions. As earlier stated, Dave will make an effort to answer as many as possible. And those that are unanswered will be posted on the website. Seriously, none is going to be ignored. Even the challenging ones, the provocative ones, yes, they'll all be answered on davetheplanet2024.com. That's our website. And we have a few already from our followers on social media. We'll start with those. Yes, so we have one here, Dave. You mentioned contracting population. Are you proposing some kind of coercive population control measures? I don't know, Dave, do you want me to throw, a couple at you or just one at a time?
I'm sorry, repeat that last part of the question.
Yes, so you mentioned contracting population. Are you proposing some kind of coercive population control measures? And I was saying, do you prefer I give you like 2 questions at a time or one at a time?
One at a time, thanks.
One at a time. All right, let's go into that.
Okay. No, absolutely not. The good news is that we do not need any kind of coercive measures to manage our population contraction. The good news is that women around the world have been embracing the solution to overpopulation for over 60 years. They are just naturally, as they become empowered and educated, they are naturally choosing to have fewer children, having children later in life, and the fertility rate has gone down substantially from average family size around 6 some 60 years ago to globally now we're just around 2.4, and in many parts of the world under replacement level already. So what we need to do is we here in our national project, we will just embrace that. You might hear sometimes today, some of the policymakers are concerned about population contraction. The governor of Michigan, not just a few weeks ago, started a big campaign to increase the population of Michigan. Now that's just at a state level, but we can't have a sustainable world if it's full of states or cities or nations that are still chasing those 20th century goals of population growth. So we really just need to educate everyone that we're overpopulated. Let's welcome what is already happening. It's a great trend that couples the world over are choosing to have fewer children. And then we just need to come up with some, we'll be developing policies that will really support one-child families and give the signal, I guess I would say, that that socially, that is what we welcome. That is what society needs. And we'll put an end to the pronatal signals out there that gave everyone the impression that, oh yeah, the more the merrier. Let's have 4 or 5, 6 kids. We've been celebrating that for 100 years, and we won't celebrate that anymore. We'll celebrate couples making fully informed, well-considered family-size choices.
Oh, thank you for that, Dave. I will straight off go to Timothy because it's a bit related. And the fact that you mentioned overpopulation, which is something people always go on about. Is it overconsumption? Is it overpopulation? The rich, the poor, who is consuming most? So here comes Timothy. Deep growth shares a lot of overlap with your platform. However, attacking population growth is structurally racist. I don't agree with that, by the way, sorry. When a majority of the world uses well below their fair share of resources, the focus should be on the overconsumption of the elite. Why is population growth your central focus?
I'm glad you asked that question. Population growth it's not our central focus. Economic growth and overconsumption, if anything, those are going to get more focus from us because frankly, we're not seeing the solution at hand. Right now, we're seeing good trends in the population area, so we don't have to focus on that as much. But we don't see people, by and large, embracing the less is more paradigm, and we certainly don't see policymakers embracing the end of economic growth. You know, we're still chasing GDP growth, so we've got to put a lot of emphasis on that. That is, if we're going to focus anywhere, it'll be there. But you know, we don't have to just do one thing at a time. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. So I'll say this, because people are going to be a little more reluctant to simplify their lifestyle. It's going to take a while for people to come around. It'll be good for us to also work hard on bringing population down as well. At the end of the day, it's going to be a balance between those two. So the higher our population, the more we're going to have to simplify our lives. So it would be good for us to bring them both down so that we can find a good balance that works in concert with nature.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. And, you know, just, you know, to follow up in line, someone, Abaline says the focus of your campaign should be on the overconsumption of the elite, not a broad statement that we all need to use less energy. Yes, yeah, we'll address that even on our website. Check it out and, you know, see the common myths and misconceptions that, you know, everyone says. Okay, let's go to Twitter. I have Nina. So we are in overshoot. How do we get out of this mess and leave our kids a beautiful world?
Wow, that is the central question of this campaign. I would suggest that you head over to davetheplanet2024.com, click on the issues button in the main menu and explore that. The main way we're going to get out of this mess is that we will just declare a national emergency, and we will launch the national project that I began to describe to you, that we're going to get the entire country focused on this, because there is no more critical emergency than ecological overshoot. If we don't address that, all the other issues that we're dealing with today won't matter. You know, there is no economy on a dead planet. There are no jobs on a dead planet. There is no cheap gasoline on a dead planet. All the things that we're busy worrying about today won't matter in a Mad Max world. So we're going to focus just even more intently than we did during the COVID-19 emergency. And we'll do a better job of focusing on that. Unfortunately, Donald Trump, when COVID hit, Donald Trump was desperate for the nation to not believe it was a crisis, because he knew that the only way he might be reelected was if we had robust economic growth that year. He was determined to keep the economy roaring, and he knew that if we acted rationally in response to the COVID pandemic, that the economy would slow down. So he politicized that crisis and split the nation. And so we didn't all come together. You know, we managed, but it was difficult. We've got to avoid that this time. We've got to all come together to focus on the ecological overshoot emergency. And I think a key part of that is going to be, it's time for us to expect more of ourselves. We've kind of stopped expecting more of ourselves, especially during the last 7 years. But even for a longer time, we've been told by economists and behavioral scientists that we're greedy and individualist, and we won't do the right thing unless there's a financial incentive. Well, I don't believe that for a minute. And we know, I mean, there is scientific proof that we have this innate sense of cooperation and collaboration. So a keynote of my campaign is going to be, let's expect more of ourselves again. Let's start doing the right thing. Let's not have a partisan divide about this emergency. We all have this one common goal. We all want a bright future for our children, every one of us, no matter where we are on the political spectrum.
Thank you so much, Dave. Now from YouTube, Gary, sorry, you've been really almost the first there. He has two questions. Has Dave considered running for the Green Party's presidential nomination? And let me add another one from Gary. It's very difficult for independent presidential candidates to get on the ballot in many states. Has Dave considered running for Congress in Colorado? Sorry, those are two. Green Party and then, Congress.
All right. Hold me accountable if I forget to answer both of them. I'll answer the last one first. No, as a member of Congress, or a member in the state legislature even, we don't have time for me to slowly climb that political ladder. It's kind of a now or never moment. I don't for U.S. policy to embrace getting out of overshoot. So I have to go straight to the top here. And as far as being a candidate with an existing party, to be honest with you, no party would have me. Even the Green Party, as good as they are with their good green intentions, they're locked in this practical reality where they feel like they've got to have a candidate who has a half a chance of being elected. And the fact that I am such a long shot is what gives us the freedom to have the platform, the only platform out there that will give our children a bright future.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, someone else says, who are you thinking? This is Geoff. Who are you thinking about for your cabinet? Yeah. And there's another one who asks about the vice president.
That's
who are
a
you thinking
great
about
question.
the vice president?
I wonder if Florence might be willing to be a cabinet member. She couldn't be my running mate because she wasn't born in the United States, but she's sharp as a tack and knows a lot about these issues. The people who are on my long list right now of advisors, they will end up on the short list of potential cabinet members. Some of them are in the U.S. today, some of them are not. I'm going to just rattle them off regardless of where they are. I know we'll need to look harder in the United States for some of these cabinet members, but some of the leading thinkers are the people that we need. People like Bill Rees, who was the originator of ecological footprint analysis. People like Kate Raworth in the UK, who came up with the concept of donut economics. Brian Check, he's actually not just outside Washington, D.C. He's the founder of the Center for the Advancement of the Steady State Economy. Brian is the man who turned me on to the fact that our obsession with economic growth was going to kill us. Brian has taught economics, and he's a very good public policy person. He's worked in federal government. He would really be a good cabinet member. Those are just a few good examples. But what I encourage you to do is, we're just kind of at the beginning of this. So we're going to develop more information for you as the campaign goes along and as we get more volunteers and more time. So watch for campaign updates on the website. Subscribe to campaign updates via email, and watch for the new to launch Dave the Planet podcast, which should launch within a day or two. And we'll keep you up to date on that. We'll be inviting world leading thought leaders, the best experts in the world, to join us to start helping us chart a course. Today, I don't have all the answers. I'm pretty sure I have most of the questions, but I'm not going to pretend to have expertise that I don't. But there are people out there who have more than me, and we'll convene some roundtables, and it'll be pretty obvious pretty quick who we'll want on our cabinet. The important thing to know is that, we cannot solve this problem with the usual suspects in the West Wing. We can't have the CEO of JP Morgan Chase helping us figure out how to have a healthy 21st century economy. The people that are advising the White House today and have been for years and years, those are people who are steeped in this growth obsessive paradigm that we have just got to jettison. So it'll be a new team, but it's going to be people who know what they're doing. My criteria for who's going to be on the cabinet isn't whether they've said nice things about me recently.
Oh, it wouldn't be bad if someone said a nice thing about you. Yes.
Where have we heard that before, Florence?
There we have a house party on standby. They have some questions. So would like to hear from you guys in Colorado. Hi Ali. I see you, Becky. Wow. Please.
Hi, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. So we had a lady stop by named Teresa, and she had a question for you, Dave. She was wondering, how will you handle that grip on corporation that we have on our government right now?
Well, there are a few long-term things. We have definitely, over the medium term, let's say, we have definitely got to really put some focus on getting the money out of politics. Gotta go. The good news is not going to be an influential factor in our campaign. Pretty unlikely that any corporations are going to gravitate to this campaign, so we won't even be tempted. But we will not allow ourselves to be corrupted by money. As I mentioned, we're not going to be inviting the corporate leaders into the West Wing to help us chart a course unless they give us a really good, strong indication that they're coming around and they've figured out that they see which way the wind's blowing. The public elected Dave Gardner. That means they want to solve this problem. And so if they're coming around and they want to turn upside down the way business is done and join in this national project, then they will be welcome. In fact, we'll err on the side of caution and we will welcome them in, but we'll be quick to boot anyone out who just can't come to terms with limits to growth and really help us figure out a complete new way of doing things. My sense is that if I'm elected, that's going to be huge, and people will take note, and they'll realize that they really don't have any choice. They really need to come along with us, or they will be left behind in the dust of the 20th century. So my hope is that we'll see the best even from corporate leaders. The same thing with the mega rich. I'm going to invite them to stop wasting energy. I'm going to invite them to join us on the journey we're going to be on as regular everyday citizens to lighten our load on the planet. And I think, I believe that they want to do the right thing and that they want all the children of the world to have a bright future, and they will surprise us and they will come along. Any of them who don't, we may have to implement public policies that make it a lot less attractive for them to ignore the writing on the wall.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Yes, House Party, please. One more question from you guys, and we shall pick a few more, maybe one or two from YouTube, and the rest, like I said, will be answered on the website. Each question, being the challenging ones.
Nice.
All right, that sounds great. Well, I have one more question. Same person, Teresa, was wondering if you are talking about reducing the economy. What is going to happen to the military budget, which is pretty large right now?
Awesome question. The military budget is really inexcusable. Now, I really think it's important for us to have a strong defense, but there's a big difference between a strong defense and a defense system that just enriches the people of the world who are already really rich. The military-industrial complex is there's so much excess there, and that's just because of the money in politics largely. So we're going to attack that with a really sharp pair of scissors for sure. A key part of that, the military, their carbon footprint is enormous. And so we're going to, they've done some good work at recognizing that the climate crisis is a security risk. And so I know the Army right here in our town here in Colorado Springs at Fort Carson, they have made some really valiant efforts to try to lighten their load on the planet. But there is so much more work to do with the military. And when we're in an emergency and we're acting like it's an emergency, one of the things that government-wide we're going to do is there's going to be a whole lot less flying around. Generals are not going to be hopping on planes to go visit, have us, go see a football game, go to a graduation. The Air Force Thunderbirds are not going to be making those very impressive demonstration flights. Are you kidding? Not when we're in the middle of a climate crisis and an ecological overshoot emergency. I think if we stop all of the junkets just from our military and government-wide, I think we'll be astonished at how much carbon emissions that's been responsible for and how much of our tax dollars have been being spent on extravagance that we no longer need.
Oh. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. House Party, thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this. Thank you. I'll take, a question from YouTube. There's one from, sorry, what am I missing? Keep, I saw Keep somewhere. What kind of incentives is Deb proposing to That's half baked, but I think he had talked about family size, which is an interesting one. I'm interested in that one as well. I saw another part somewhere.
That's a good one, and I'll try to keep my answers short. Right now it's it's very unaffordable to have children. We read a lot in the headlines today about the cost of childcare, and a lot of people think that's just unfair. And in some ways it is, but in some ways it's maybe it's a valuable market signal to help people realize that that party's over. Maybe if it's really hard to afford to have 2 or 3 or 4 kids, maybe I shouldn't have 2 or 3 or 4 kids. The market can work in our favor in that case. But we don't want to have a situation where only the rich can have children. So what I'm thinking is, what if we came up with some good policies to make it really attractive and workable and affordable for a couple that wants to have one child to do that? So they have that experience and they can bring that one child into the world. But we're not going to keep on socializing the cost of children for people who decide to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. We've got to make sure that we have a strong social signal that right now society needs us to make smaller family size decisions. So we're going to make it really attractive to have one. We are not going to make it attractive to have more than that. Things like child tax credits, things like that, we're going to have to look for ways to eliminate all of the financial incentives for having more children in ways that will not hurt the welfare of the children that are alive today. And that's going to take a little bit of thinking and noodling to figure that out, but that'll be my goal.
Well, thank you, Dev. And well, on that, maybe this one is from me, actually, a cheat sheet. So you say, yeah, you're advocating for smaller family sizes, but there are many barriers to having a smaller family size. Even here in the US, in Uganda, where I come from, it's worse. There's so many barriers. Even here in the US, can women access the contraception? Is it affordable?
Oh, yeah.
The men who say, oh, don't use contraception, or because, the patriarchy and all that, I won't say
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's a no-brainer that we've got to make contraception, long-term and short-term contraception free. It will save us money. It will save money in the federal budget to spend that money. That will be money well spent, and it will be good for the welfare of the country. Nearly half of pregnancies are unintended. We need to wipe that out. That should be a no-brainer for us. And for people who don't want to see abortion, and I mean, none of us want to have more abortions. We all want to have fewer abortions. Well, the number one way to have fewer abortions is to have really good sex education and to have contraception readily available, easily accessible at no cost, and not have barriers in the way of getting that. And then, it's not quite as maybe as hard of a barrier, this pronatal attitude that we have in our world, where your parents might be pressuring you to give them grandchildren, and that weighs heavily on the minds of some women. And I want to make sure that we reduce those kinds of pressures. The more we talk about the fact that we are overpopulated, the more information and education we can provide, I think we'll whittle away at that kind of pronatal attitude. Potential grandparents will realize that it's a new world, it's a different world, and there's a cost. And in fact, the future of any potential future grandchildren really hinges, the quality of that person's life, the survival of that life depends on all of us making really good, well-informed and well-considered family-size decisions. So that'll be a new world. And the only reason we don't have that today is because we've been avoiding the subject of overpopulation. We've been brushing it under the rug. We're going to stop doing that. We don't have to do anything evil or coercive to solve that issue. We just need to have everybody well informed and empowered.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much. We are practically overrunning. And I appreciate you saying that, we're not going to do anything evil, because sometimes people hear policy and they're scared that, oh my God, we are going back to those draconian days, of China's one-child policy, India forcing women to be sterilized. Yeah, even even here in the United States. But of course, we know there are some national population policies that have not been coercive, that have been amazing, and governments have those in place, wonderful programs to lower fertility levels through various mechanisms and make life easier, for planet and people, because out there, people are losing biodiversity, even if we obsess so much about, climate change at the moment. But how about biodiversity? How about those little creatures, those little insects? That was an incredible, session. Thank you so much for all your questions, and really apologies that we couldn't get to all of them. But like I said, you're going to find all of them on the website. We are going to write out all the comments. Thanks for some of you giving us, some tips, on how to get through this campaign. That is amazing. We appreciate it. So, an incredible audience, we appreciate you, and we deeply appreciate your presence at this campaign launch. So to our fantastic campaign team, your dedication and time are truly valued. Let's keep moving forward together. And Dave, once again, a heartfelt thanks for speaking candidly. As human populations and consumption, like you said, the two really, you have to handle them together simultaneously, if even possible. As they continue to rise, we place ever increasing demands on ecosystems crucial for the survival of not just humanity, but also wildlife species. So just as our volunteers and other endorsers have said it, we require someone in the White House who isn't afraid to acknowledge the inconvenient truth, the inconvenient facts. And as your tagline goes, Dave, we've got a planet to save, and the US needs to do its part. Like, seriously, we need you in that White House. So, good people, we welcome suggestions on how you'd like to help get Dave elected. Some of you have already, stated that. Thank you. It will take all of us to defeat dead planet decision makers in 2024. No more of that. No more of that, please. So bye, everyone, and thanks again. And let's save the planet. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye. Kelsey, thank you for producing this.